I feel like you can be in this game mentally, but hopefully they can do it. I mean, I know that Mina specifically is a player that kind of tilts a bit, and hopefully just for this game and for this series, I mean, there's a lot on the line. Obviously, $13,000 jump from second place to first place.
Ridiculous.
So hopefully he can just kind of zonk that out of his mind and come back ready to play. The game is, though, has begun.
It definitely has. So hopefully you guys are ready, because we're going to jump into game number 2 now between Complexity and Trademark Esports. So let's go ahead and do it. We got Complexity here on the Legion side, Trademark on the Hellborn side. Of course, the opposite of that first game. But yeah, as you put it, as I put it, I mean, Trademark Esports, you really just got to hope that their mental state right now is not one of, oh, we're depressed, we lost that first game, this sucks. It's, you know what, we lost the first game, we got to take this game by game literally here. We cannot worry about the future. We cannot worry about the past. There's so much money on the line. Let's just take it one game at a time here against Complexity. It's going to be a difficult task, but that's really the only way you would think it's safe to say that they can approach it. So the blind ban's taking place, though. We had Jerizaiah and Tempest taken care of by Complexity, and then Tundra and Pebbles from Trademark Esports. So again, nothing too crazy about that. And there's that Cthulhu font first lock coming out from Beacon.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that a lot here from Complexity, actually.
Yeah, he seems to do that. It's like a filler lock for Bubbles. It's like a placeholder for Bubbles. If they don't get Bubbles, well, they can kind of use Cthulhu font in the same fashion.
Yeah.
So, B-Kid likes to do that. Now, Nymph4 is actually on the locks there. And that's a very, very interesting lock there. I know B-Kid... I know he likes to actually blind ban that hero because he just hates it so much. I wouldn't be surprised to even see Complexity first pick him out of that lock pool, seeing how they are in first position. So, yeah, we'll have to see. There's the Bubbles as well, so maybe not going to go with that Cthulhu font, but that's not to say that they don't first pick something else like that Nymph4, or maybe one of the other two heroes that could be locked here. But we'll see.
Yeah, this is, ooh, there we go. We've talked about him a couple times in the Geomancer. I know B-Kid does like to play that hero. We still have yet to see him. We've seen him locked maybe 3 or 4 times with them, but still have yet to see him actually pick it up for themselves. So that would be interesting, but Fade is the final lock. So now this makes it definitely very interesting going into the picking phase. Well, first it's going to be the banning phase, of course, but are we going to see that Mage Ban left open? And then as a result of that, will we eventually see him picked? Because, again, when there's a Fade in that lock pool, he can be somewhat of a risky pick. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out, especially starting with the banning phase now.
Yeah, and then something that just hit me too. It could be very, very easy for Complexity to run the lineups that they really like to run. They could easily first pick Fade out of that pool. There's still lots of strong support heroes to choose from. And the beauty about first picking Fade out of that pool is you still have a great suicide to work with, being either Bubbles or Cthulhu font. Even Miraxis, we've seen as a suicide, can still somewhat work, but regardless, if they first pick that Fade, they're still going to have that Bubbles and most likely that Cthulhu font, one of them to work with. So that being said, they can still play their game. They can still do a support plus Mage Bane or a support plus Dark Lady, or a support plus whatever kind of carry they want. They can pick a jungler, unless it gets banned here. I really think Minus is going to ban that Ophelia. I don't see why he wouldn't. But still, Parasite's on the board. I don't really see Complexity run Parasite that much. But there's also War Beast. I mean, I really feel like this is going to be one of those typical Complexity lineups.
Yeah. Now, they take care of Silhouette and Dark Lady, and then also Draconis was taken care of. Well, no, they took care of Draconis Dark Lady. Silhouette was banned by Complexity, as well as Glacius. So really, Mage Ban is that, again, as we say, that top tier of carry heroes that is left over in Polywog Priest for Complexity. You're saying, very likely ban Ophelia here, or are they going to give Chessie Ophelia? And that is very dangerous. They are going to give Chessie Ophelia. I really wouldn't be surprised to see Complexity snap pick and Ophelia right here as their first pick. You see the ban on Mage Bane to finish it off. So 1 second, there we go, and wow, shocker. B-Kid picks up Ophelia, and again, I'm sure that's going to be swapped to Chessie. So as you put it, you were saying, you likely think they're going to ban it. No, they did not, and Complexity responds right away.
I mean, B-Kid banned Glacius in his first pick. That kind of tells you something's up right there. With that banned and Ophelia first picked, I mean, no question. I mean, Ophelia is in my opinion, the best jungler in the game. And you put him on Chessie, who's probably the best Ophelia player in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be very, very scary. They can play their game right now. Complexity can easily play their game. They do go Luna Magnus. If there is anything that can show aggression against a pseudo tri-lane with Ophelia in the short lane, it's a Luna Magnus +1.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be very, very scary. It's also, I think, going to be very fun to watch. with the heroes that we already have picked.
Oh, definitely. Ophelia, and as you said, I really think that's true. I mean, we've seen some impressive Ophelia players throughout history, but honestly, with what I've seen from both a first-person point of view on Chessie's stream and just in matches that we've cast Complexity, I really do think Chessie is the best Ophelia player that we have actually seen here in Heroes and Newer. So, and again, that should say something, especially for Trademark Esports going up against that. So it's definitely a risky move to give them Ophelia. We'll see how Trademark Esports responds. As you said, they got a Luna Magnus that could very likely be a good, not necessarily a counter, but can play very aggressive against that pseudo trial lane coming out from Complexity. As again, if they run their comfort zone lineup, very likely going to be that. Now, granted, all four of those carry heroes are actually banned. I mean, we kind of stayed away from talking about that. With that final ban, Mage Bane, that did keep all four of those heroes out of there. So if Complexity wants to run more of that comfortable pseudo trial lane, it is going to have to be either the Forsaken Archer or even like a Chronos or a Swiftless, something different. It is going to be a Forsaken Archer, though, and Empath, actually, is going to be the support. Not too often we see Empath coming up from Complexity, but she has been a support hero that we have seen more and more in these competitive matches. So we'll see how Trademark Esports finishes, though.
Yeah, this could be the comfort zone, or the lack of comfort zone that Fine was talking about. I shouldn't say I never see them run, but I rarely see them run Forsaken Archer, and it usually just seems like it doesn't work out for them. Now, Empath, I think you know what I think about Empath. Yeah. I love the hero. I think it's very good. Again, we haven't seen Complexity run him, but this is one of those safe games, honestly, for Complexity. They don't have that much to lose if they lose this game. Yeah. They can play a little bit more liberally and pick some different things. Now, at the same time, I will say, I know that's not Beacon's attitude. I also know that's not Franzi's attitude. Their attitude is pick what wins, especially for a game like this. But, like I said, and there's that Fade first pick that I talked about. But like I said,
Bubbles, no 4 more access.
Oh,
you can try to guess.
Wrong. But Bubbles, this is going to be still, like I said over and over. Doesn't matter what the heroes are. It just matters that you follow that formula of success, which is really for in this case for Complexity.
Yeah.
Suicide Bubbles, Fade mid, pseudo tri-lane bottom. It works.
It does, and they've proven it over and over again. But Fine did talk about that, and it seems like that is kind of a strategy it did work out for them. If I remember correctly, I mean, in that first game where they defeated Complexity, they kind of did. I don't think they got their hard carry. Or maybe they did, and maybe I'm just... I know the second game they didn't. They were running the Warbeast Chessie as their carry instead, so that was a little bit different. But anyways, that's the past. This is now, I will say, Trademark Esports, I mean, they did finish out very strong, and as you put it, we just don't see enough teams competing against that pseudo trial lane from Complexity. Well, they have a Magmus Illuna Nymphora, very likely, I would think is going to be the case here, going to be competing against that pseudo trial lane at this bottom side, or at least you'd almost even hope for. That's what tdM's going to do here, and that's a lot of aggression coming out.
Yeah, even the Pyromancer. I mean, Noob G playing that Pyromancer, it could be solo, because you suspect it's going to be something like a solo being played by Noob G. But yeah, lots of early game aggression, lots of mid game presence as well with that Nymphora and Magmus. They don't have the greatest late game in the world, but I feel like if they win, they can't take it to late game. There's just no question. But at the same time, I mean, there's actually really not that much late game on the Legion side either. I mean, FA isn't that late game. Sure, we've seen her carry games, specifically Slicks when he has that 700 whatever GPM. But it's not like your Mage Bane. It's not like your Dark Lady. And actually, I've seen Pyromancers get to the late game with full items, and it's frickin' scary.
That fervor can be very powerful, actually, on a farm. He's kind of like a Wretched Hag, where if you actually can manage some very good farm on a hero like Wretched Hag, similar to a Pyromancer, sure, he's an intellect hero that relies a lot on nuking damage early on in the game, but you add that, you put a Savage Mace on top of that, a Frostwolf Skull, I know it tends to be pretty popular in heroes like that. It could actually be very, very powerful, and again, especially with the Pyromancer having that fervor ability, it definitely can be a more of a later game carrying type tool, and you're right. I mean, you look at this lineup, it's definitely possible that if it happens to get to the stage, and sure enough, it is being played by Noob G for that matter, could very likely be that case here for Trademark Esports, that they may need to rely on that, and it is possible. So we'll see. Again, obviously, we are sitting in a pause here, our typical competitive pause here on Honcast.com here for the DreamHoN Summer Championships. What would be the DreamHoN Summer Championships without the pregame pause? But here again, just a quick recap while we are sitting in it. This is the grand finals, guys. Trademark Esports versus Complexity. Complexity, they've only dropped one match all throughout this whole tournament. The first couple of rounds, the group stages, the quarterfinals and on. Their only match dropped was against this Trademark Esports team in the winners bracket finals, which of course they ended up winning 2-1 and got here in the first place. Trademark Esports, though, They got back to the grand finals as a result of defeating its Gosu yesterday, which, again, was actually a really great best-of-3 series. Definitely check out the video section below, and that video specifically if you did miss any of the action after this, of course. But here we are. Trademark Esports is now down 1-0. And what not only do they need to win this best-of-3, but then they will need to win another one. But like we keep saying, you know what? Just take one game at a time here. If you're Trademark Esports, it's kind of funny because, or ironic even, how we keep stressing that they need to win 2 best-of-3s. Yet just take it one game at a time, though, at the same time, guys. No big deal. Yeah, it's easy for us to say.
Again, I mean, there's 2 things to think about. You got to keep your composure if you're tdM and really make sure you forget about all that. You just take one game at a time. And so it's on them really, because complexity at the same time, they can't get too lazy. They can't get too lax. They still have a lot of money on the line. But I don't think they will. They're a team that really takes, as Moon said in interviews before, they take every single game seriously, and it's showing. They've only dropped one game. It was to tdM, but as Peter Pandam said, or Franzi said in the interview, it might have been just a fluke. It was just unfortunate. No one canceled a very big Tempest Ultimate coming out from MyNuts, and then. And yeah, anyway, let's talk about this game. Watersight, very, very early on, placed here by Franzi. Very similar to what we saw Sender, how Sender placed it in the game that he played against tdM.
Yeah.
And this is going to show a little bit of information in the jungle, perhaps any gank attempts that maybe go onto this fade in the mid, coming out from this, well, probably is going to be a tri-lane down here. And we're going to have a solo witch, sorry, not a solo witch, but a solo pyromancer here in the short lane, being played by Noob G against this Suicide Bubbles.
Yeah. Again, so this is a rare case of a team actually wanting to compete against the pseudo tri-lane from Complexity. Now, granted, I do find it funny. I think it was actually against Trademark Esports where we interviewed Haxerin after, and they tried to compete against this Mage Bane. They ended up switching up though, and he made the comment. He's like, "Well, you talk about that all the time. How teams need to compete against it. Well, that's what happens when they compete against us. We still own you." So,
well. To be honest, I mean, he didn't really do anything that game.
Yeah.
I think he finished the game like 1-0-1, and then the score was 20-something. I don't know. I mean, he did what he needed to do, and that's not die.
Yeah.
So in that regard, he succeeded. But if that happens, Complexity is smart enough to realize that, okay, we can't win this lane. We're going to find stuff to do in other lanes, and that's why they're the top team in the world.
Mm-hmm. You see right here, Nim4 is sitting in the camp, going to block this as well as Aluna. So this is already forcing an adjustment here coming out from Chessie, specifically on Ophelia. She is very aware what the Hellborn team was definitely intending to do. They blocked 3 camps, and the courier with the other one down here. So literally the yellow spawn camp is the only one in the Legion jungle that actually spawned at the 30-second mark. And even the courier is still here, and then 4 is still here, so even a couple more are going to be blocked. But as you see on the minimap, Chessie is in the Hellborn jungle, so she's going to be up there instead. Now, obviously that's good for Chessie, but this will hurt Complexity's dual lane now down here in Empath and Forsaken Archer. You got to figure at least we have an Aluna, Magnus, and even an Nephora that can come over and assist. So this is a pretty big deal. As far, again, a lot of kill potential, to say the least. Down at the spot of lane. So both Empath and Forsaken Archer do need to be very careful as far as their positioning is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be smart enough and not die. I really do. I think they're good enough players. I mean, for their sake, hopefully they're able to just sit back here, hug the tower, even if it's tempting to get up there and try to get experience, but once Magnus is already level 2, once Aluna hits level 2 especially, you're going to have to be very, very careful.
Oh, top lane. Pyromancer in a lot of trouble. In comes Chessie with that Minotaur. The stun not going to go off for just yet. Nice stun for Pyromancer actually coming out. Can he run away right here? It looks like he may. No, the Minotaur just a little bit too quick. There's the stun for the Minotaur. Going to do some blocking as well with the Minotaur. Look at this micro from Chessie. That's what makes him highly regarded as the best Ophelia player out there, and the Bloodlust kill set up in favor of Chessie, sure enough. So well played once again.
I mean, I was actually just going to point out, though, that if there is anything to be done with Chessie, or sorry, Ophelia, it's going to be get easy ganks on this Pyro. Pyro is a very strong solo hero, but he's very susceptible to ganks. Now, actually, the gank coming out in mid might be successful because there is a double damage on Ophelia. The stun coming out from the Minotaur there. Can Miraxis stun? No, he cannot stun the Chessie. Very, very good micro yet again, and gets a very easy kill onto mid with that double damage rune. I gotta say, it's very lucky for him that he actually got a double damage rune because they don't even have a rune ward placed.
Yeah.
So it spawned top, he got lucky, and they got a very good kill on Limp in the mid lane, and that's gonna be huge. If they're able to win 2 lanes and as well as have a jungle, basically everything is on this bottom lane. Can Magnus get enough farm?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Look at this ward. You mentioned they don't have a rune ward, but look at where they're placing the wards. One right here in the jungle, as you said, that kind of center spot almost. It spots Nymphora and Aluna running over. You see in the middle lane, Fade playing very passive as a result. And the other ward of sight, just above this bottom tower in the jungle right here, it was actually spotting Nymphora this whole time, who was trying to set up a gank herself. So you got to give a lot of credit to Franzi right here for choosing some very powerful ward locations, actually, and it's definitely been working so far in this game here. We see Nymphora's actually delivered a ward of sight herself. She is going to, apparently, yeah, they're going to place a Revelation, but it's just a little bit too far away, I believe, and that ward of sight is not going to be counted. So that, see, they probably think that there's none right here, so they're like, okay, we have some free reign to maybe make something happen, but again, Fade had the information. She knew that they were coming, and she could probably even still see them somewhat, and yeah, she is playing very passive as a result of this. So a lot of credit to, again, especially Franzi here for Complexity. Definitely doing a lot for his team early on. And now you look at the bottom lane, because they're spending so much time trying to gank that middle lane, Forsaken Archer's like, I'll take this free farm, get in the creep kills, and Magnus actually needs to be a little bit careful as he's now by himself here.
Yeah, I mean, they're just playing it so perfectly. Complexity is. You can't get stuff down bottom. Okay, move around, go find something in the top lane. I was going to say, Chessie early on Ophelia, it's kind of hard to gank Meraxis early on because he is so tanky. And so he chose to get that easy gank up top on the Pyro. And that's exactly what I do. And then in the mid lane, he got a double damage rune. And what actually was an easy gank on Meraxis because of that lucky rune. But that's what Complexity does. They find stuff to do in other lanes when they know that they can't win certain lanes. And they'll take the trade. They'll take winning 2 lanes plus a jungler over getting dominated in 1. It doesn't matter. What matters is you come out on top in the end. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. That goes back to that mage bingo that we were just talking about. In this game, you know, Forsaken Archer, he is struggling. I mean, he's not going to have the greatest farm early on, but as you just put it, I mean, they don't care. The fact that the other 2 lanes are not only winning, but doing very well in their lanes actually as a result of the situation. You know, they rely on those heroes coming through. Now, they are going to catch Nymphora here in the jungle. You saw Fade even coming over. And a great wall as well from Empath, just completely cut up the support there if they were even going to try and set up another kill. So we already have a 3-0 hero kill advantage in favor of Complexity to start off this game. So again, looking pretty ugly here already early on for Trademark Esports. Only 5 minutes in. Again, a very, very, very good start for them. Now, in the middle lane, while that was happening, Meraxis was able to get some free farm himself, and he has been actually winning this middle lane. Now, granted, you could give a lot of credit perhaps to that gank attempt that was being set up, which never followed through, of course, but it did force Fade to play very, very passive top lane. A big dive coming in from the Vulture Lord, even with the Cyclone. The Cyclone sitting on top of Luna, actually. She's taking a lot of damage from that. She poured it in, but now Luna's in a lot of trouble and very likely could fall right here. Another Shell Surf going to be coming up in 4 seconds. Nymphora trying to help. Not going to be nearly enough, though. Luna will get sniped out as Chessie, yet again with another kill. She is 3-0-1. Off to such a phenomenal start here for Complexity, and you know, I hate to say I told you so, but you do not want to give Chessie specifically Ophelia for this reason.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to, you really got to sit and think before you actually set up these lanes. I mean, I think the lane setups were fine from tdM, but you have to think, okay, Complexity is a seasoned enough team, they're good enough to know how to deal with it. If you're going to put very aggressive heroes being Magnus, Aluna, plus Nymphora, you should know that Complexity is smart enough to realize that they cannot beat that, even with Ophelia. It's just too weak. So what are they going to do? They're gonna just find other ways. And so that should tell you as a team, be careful Pyro specifically. Maybe even Meraxis, but not so much because he's tanky, but be careful Pyro. And now Pyro, as a result, he's 0-2-0. He's losing the creep farm heavily to Bubbles, who should be Bubbles is the one that should be losing. And that's what Complexity does. Now, the experience lead is actually closing in a little bit. Complexity had a little bit larger experience lead, but it's closing in just a bit. They're still leading by 1,000, and they've got a 2,100 gold lead. But, yep, things are looking really, really good for Complexity right now.
Yeah, you got Magnus down. Now, Haxrin actually is still somewhat struggling in farm. I'm a little bit surprised about that. Now, granted, again, she doesn't have the vision that we have. Magnus, what is Magnus doing? He stuns in on Empath by himself. Absolutely no support nearby. What is MyNuts doing? Now we see Ophelia coming out. There's a wall coming out. The Skeleton King with the trap. The crippling folly missing, actually. Oh, the lava switch at the last second. Not going to matter. I don't know. I don't know if that is a case of just nerves or just maybe the frustration getting the best of them, but I just do not see any reason to do what he just did right there.
That was really pointless. I mean, I don't know as well. And then Bubbles got a kill, solo kill on a noob G.
Oh,
Good job by Moon, but I mean that's expected. When you punish someone like that in the lane so much, there's so many ways you can bounce back from that. I mean, now you got a level 8 bubbles against a level 5 pyro. It's pretty much you got to abandon the lane, and this is how games get massively, massively out of control. We're already at a 7-0 kill lead for Complexity, only 8 minutes in. I'm sorry to say, but I really think this is going to be a fast concede. I really do. I mean, maybe it's a little hasty to say that, but Complexity's they're just playing like a much better team. They have been this entire tournament. Actually, double damage fade coming out for an easy solo gank on Define. Playing that in M4, he had nothing he could do. This is just looking so scary, and yeah, I really think there's very little that the tdM could do, and it's funny to say that because they have such an early aggression team.
Yeah.
But Complexity, man, this is why the best team.
Well, that goes more to the fact of you're right. I mean, as shitty as it is to say that, it is looking like this could be a quicker game, especially since Trademark Esports, they picked a very aggressive lineup. We saw that with the tri-lane that they were running at bottom. They had a Moraxis solo, a Pyromancer solo. I mean, the name of the game was going to be aggression here for Trademark, and it has not worked out whatsoever. We've seen the middle lane a big time going on here from Complexity, just completely collapsing on them. The shells have even been abused in the background, trying to pick out a Luna. Now Matrix activated by Limp, but still, he's tanking the damage. Oh my god, this Morax is actually going to live initially. He is. Burning Shadows will stun, though. There goes the Matrix falling off, and down goes Moraxis. Oluna did end up getting away from Bubbles, being played by Moonman, who's going to try to snipe him out. He actually is going to hit a Shell Surf there and cancel Oluna's heal, I believe he had on, or even the Mana Potion, but still, man, 10-0 hero kill advantage already for Complexity. You could just almost feel it that Trademark Esports is at a point of when is 15 minutes going to hit, because we may just want to finish this game soon, because it's just desperation is just clearly seeping through here for Trademark Esports at this point, just trying to find anything to do, and it's just not working.
I think the tilting is coming out right now. I really do. It really affects certain teams. I mean, I know it affects Clan Milk because we saw them dive out of this tournament very, very quickly, much more quickly than I think most people thought. And I think it affects this team as well. I think it gets the best of them. They play completely different. Last game we saw them still play quite decent. Actually, Mag was stunning into all these creeps. I think they might even be able to turn this if Ophelia heals this. Oh, no, he doesn't heal his creeps up to full. That would have been fun to watch. But I really think that the tilting gets the best of this team, and it's unfortunate because we're seeing a very, very one-sided game because of it.
We definitely are, and right now for Complexity, again, they're just doing their own thing. Obviously not. They're just going to play their own game as they should be, and because it's definitely working, and don't really care about what Trademark Esports is doing in the sense of maybe they're not playing their best game because of that tilt factor, as you put it. But Moonman are continuing to push his top lane, and he is actually the best farm in the game right now. 358 gold, and he's been so for a while, ever since that really kill happened up here, that solo kill that he got, or even I guess the assisted kill initially from Chessie, and then going on from there. But yeah, he's going to push that top lane. We see right there that tower goes down, his gold per minute just jumps up even that much more. And again, continuing to do a fantastic job. The triple Minotaur army coming out from actually Chessie here in the middle lane. Going to try to deny this tower. It's going to be close. Need to be really careful. Magmus running, and Magmus snipes the tower kill. It's actually well played by Minos, but at what cost right here? Where's the next Minotaur stun? And the third one! The third one is... There's a third Minotaur stun, and Magmus will fall as a result. There's a kill from Bubbles jumping in. The Song of the Sea, not even necessary. Doesn't have enough mana. Nice heal for N4. Not going to be enough, though. The Minotaur's just pounding in damage. Moraxis jumps in with the quick. Chessie picks up a hat trick, though, as a result of it. Moraxis is just trying to run away now and survive at this point. Pyromancer's not even here. Magmus bites back, actually. He stuns in. Eruption trying to be activated, but the Burning Shadows canceled it immediately. And Magmus will once again fall. Chessie's a quad kill.
Annihilation!
Annihilation coming up from Chessie right here.
Give him the Annihilation!
Yes, we are the champion. I knew it. The Annihilation for Chessie. ROFL being called, but I think it's safe to say this game is going to be over. In fact, already GG well played are being called. We're only 12 minutes in. Talk about domination at its finest here, Trev.
I don't think I've ever seen an Annihilation Ophelia ever. I don't even want to say competitive game, but ever. I mean,
better player to have it on than Chessie.
I mean, did you see that he just microed those minions perfectly? I saw him not even just the stomping from those Minotaurs, but just how he's microing them into attacking certain heroes when they die. This hero dies, okay, right, going on to the next one. That hero, you thought he was going to die? Okay, well, we're going to go back to him. Just perfect micro from Chessie. And wow, you get to see an annihilation on Ophelia. That is just an icing on the cake in this already, as you said, GG well played coming out in 12 minutes. They'd have basically 3 minutes to just kind of screw around and do whatever. Stun coming out onto Luna. She's going to die very, very easily. And boy, what a way to finish for TD. For Complexity.
Yeah, let's be honest here. I mean, we're seeing obviously one of the best teams HoN has ever seen. Honestly, again, I've been doing this now for 2.5 years, really, maybe even a little bit longer than that. As far as casting on HoNcast, been around the competitive scene really since almost the beginning. And with the way that Complexity is playing, with the way that they played specifically in this tournament, it's just some of the finest play we've ever seen. It truly does remind me of Fnatic. I think Fnatic MSI when they were running that TriLink Gladiator specifically, how dominating they were. And I brought this up before, how do you deal with it? I mean, again, you could theory craft all you want. You can sit here and say, and sure, maybe there are ways to deal with it, but teams have tried. As we saw this game, they even tried. They had a fairly good setup, as we said, going into it, but the execution, man, I mean, Complexity is just that good as far as skill-wise, as far as strategy-wise. They are going to be they have to be the team to beat going into the DreamHack event. Now, granted, that is still a times away, so sure, with this victory here, this will grant them the invitation to DreamHack Winter 2012. But DreamHack Winter is in, I think it's like November 22nd or something is when it starts. So that's obviously, what, even 3 months away at this point. A little less than 3 months, I think. Actually, no, exactly 3 months even. So that's plenty of time for these teams like Trademark Esports, like your McLaren Milk, like all these other teams to kind of step up their game and get more and more practice in. So, but to say that I still think that with the way Complexity is playing, and I got to believe that obviously they're going to prepare going into that event, that they will have to be the team to beat, no doubt, going into it. And, as awesome as it would have been to see an underdog story, especially with Trademark Esports, I can't say I'm surprised in the end to see Complexity take this series even 2-0.
I'm not surprised one bit. I mean, how could I possibly risk my hair? How could I put my hair on the line, not being confident that Complexity's... I mean, I'm shocked that they even dropped a game, like I said. As Peter mentioned, I'm just going to go ahead and agree with him and say it was a fluke. Because I didn't even expect that. More initiation coming. I mean, we're just really casting. Kind of like it looks like mid-wars at this point. You just compare the items and Gold Farm. I mean, Chainsaw Massacre coming out, but it's quite tanky though. Magma's stunning in. 15 minutes is there, by the way. Just a friendly reminder.
Probably going to be the last fight.
Probably going to be the last fight. Bloodbath finally coming out into Chessie. There's the vote to concede, and we probably have. Yes, we do have. The DreamHoN winners, Complexity, taking home $20,000 as well as a $4,000 travel stipend for DreamHack, and they are qualified.
They are going, and I'm sure they're happy to get out of the way. To say the least, I'm sure we expected it to happen eventually, whether it was through this tournament or down the line. But, might as well get out of the way early. Now, they know they're going to DreamHack Winter 2012 to compete for whatever that event's going to be. Again, not really too much information has been released on that just yet. But to say the least, expect yet again another epic event when it comes down to that. But big congratulations to Complexity. I kind of just said it all there as we're kind of waiting for the game to eventually finish. So not too much else to say in that sense, really. But again, this is a Complexity team that all throughout the first part of the tournament, the groups